Welcome to episode 5 of the About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, I'm here with my host, Ben Wilson, at Our Trading Cards, Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins, and myself, Tim Shepler at Big Shep79. Welcome in tonight, folks. As always, we are a podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you some smart and insightful podcasting, discussing trading card collecting. We're live here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube. And you can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're on iTunes as well, as you search About the Cards there. And you can always follow us on YouTube and subscribe and review us on all those platforms. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Great. How's you?
I'm doing great. We got a little, we're a day late. We're recording on Thursday instead of Wednesday. And that's because that was someone's birthday yesterday.
It was my birthday, and you guys didn't get me anything. At least it's not here yet.
Oh.
I hear that there might be something in the mail coming from one of you guys.
There's nothing in the mail. I did pick something up for you yesterday when I went to the LCS on my lunch break, along with a 87 Fleer box, which is pretty awesome. And I picked up a $10 1975 George Brett rookie, which is some people were pretty amazed about. I picked up two 1985 Topps Mark McGuire's as well, and those are your birthday present. But the only way you're going to get them, the only way you're getting them, is if I see you in person, and second, you bring me the box that you've promised Steph here for like 10 years now.
I don't know if it's worth all that.
Okay,
I already have 33 of the McGuires. So, all right, fine.
No, that's fine. I'll light them on fire. I'll send them to Steph and let him burn them.
Well, fine. Stefan needs his package because I literally have had it in my garage for like 7 years now.
Yeah, so we'll get together sometime soon, and we'll make a little bit of exchange there. But yeah, guys, it's awesome. I'm glad to be back this week. Lots happened. We've had some people reach out to us on things they want to hear us talk about, which is great, and we definitely do appreciate. So thank you for that. We'll get there soon. But let's cover the week that was. Last week's releases. As always, we lead off with Topps Living. So this is for the week of July 11th through the 17th. Week number 18. This week we added almost 19,000 cards to the collection, which is only the 13th highest number we've added in a card sold in a week out of the 18. Card number 52, Max Scherzer, sold a little over $6,000 or 6,000 cards, and did beat out Noah Syndergaard by just a handful. And I thought we'd see 7,000 in there, so right about that number. Card number 53, Walker Buehler, was the rookie this week. Was the top seller. He sold a little over 7,500 cards, and Mitch Haniger sold just over 5,100 in his All-Star week. The total print run now is up to over 462,000. And if you take that by the retail value of the cards that Topps sells them at $7.99, we're looking just over $3.7 million in sales of Topps Living. So, guys, did these numbers kind of hit what you thought? I know last week we thought that Haniger and Scherzer had a chance, maybe 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. Didn't quite get there.
First off, I'm not surprised the rookie went highest. I thought with the All-Star break, the Nationals would have went a little higher, but it is what it is. Then we'll see what ends up next week.
Honestly, when you don't have a huge rookie included, one of the big name prospects that are, just now getting to the majors, or if you don't have I know we've seen a few of the veteran, Hall of Famers, Hank Aaron, guys that have kind of been moderate sales, moderate successful, it's, to me, I think this is really where we're starting to settle in now. You're going to see the two lower end guys right around $5,000, and it's going to be $7,000 to $10,000 depending on what the star player is, with a few spikes up into 12 to 15 if it's a bigger name Hall of Famer or retired player. That's just my opinion. I think honestly, about 20,000 total is on average week in, week out going to be about what we see.
Yeah, so Walker Buehler, I think he had an injury, and that's kind of a reason why he's not been around a lot this year, but he sold 7,503 cards. There's been 54 cards printed so far. Where do you think he ranks, Ben? Where do you think he is as far as in total number of cards sold since they started this?
I'd say probably right around the midway point, right around 23 to 25, somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's number 18.
Okay, so a little higher than.
Yeah, and Scherzer comes in number 25 at a little over 6,200. So very interesting. Last week we also had the 2018 Topps Now All-Star Team sets. Those seem pretty popular. They are no longer available through Topps.com, but there are third-party guys selling those on eBay. So check those out. They have all the All-Stars. And again, they weren't all named because they were adding, I think, the injury replacements, they said, per their website once they released that list. Last week also, 2018 Topps Big League came out for the first time. We covered that last week, pretty much. And I got my cards in the mail and my team sets. And wow, I was really impressed with the card stock. Just want to kind of touch on that real quick. They were a lot better quality than what I thought they were going to be. Thought they were going to be kind of chintzy and whatever. But the quality of the card was shocking. I actually liked it quite a bit.
They are a good-looking product. I've got my Matt Olson short print Players Weekend photo variation already, and there were 3 cards in the gold parallel set that Brent Williams was unable to provide for me that I ended up picking up. So those 3 came. It's tough with the gold parallel sets because somebody like Brent's got to put together the master sets first, and then he gets down to the team sets. And sometimes the problem with those 3 is right in the middle of the Big League Baseball set is a Stat Kings Trio subset, and it featured, it's a league leaders. So the problem with the gold parallels is you have Chris Davis as an A's fan that I want, but he's sharing a card with Aaron Judge and Nelson Cruz. So if you're somebody like Brent who's selling team sets, you would have to have, how many ever you need for your master gold sets, but then you're also going to have one Judge for your Yankee, one Cruz for your Mariner, and one Davis for your A's parallel set. So that's going to be really hard, I think, for anybody like Brent to be able to put together, just because of how those cards lay and the fact that there's 3 guys. But I was really impressed when those cards came today. I'm really excited to see the rest once that package comes from him.
Yeah, great. I mean, great card stock for any of those guys playing the game. I'm sorry, you're already up to 4 shots. 2008 Topps Archive Signatures came out, as we like to call it. Looks like someone's TTM collection. Not a huge fan. I mean, it's like $45. Take your shot, because I did see a Trout 1 of 1 get pulled. So there's cards like that, but then there's also a lot of other guys in there. So and when I mean other guys, you're going to kind of go, oh, okay. When I watched a case break, and no offense against him, he's a good player. Brian Dozier was like the 2nd or 3rd best player in the case. Yeah. So that's a little tough. Last week also too, 2018 Panini Gold Standard Football came out. You like football? It's for the price point, what you're getting, a good product there. So let's hop in this week to hot off the press. This week's new releases. The Topps Living set got announced yesterday. This will run through basically early or mid-afternoon, I guess, on Wednesday if you're on the East Coast, early morning here on the West. We had card number 55, Hall of Fame outfielder for the Boston Red Sox, Teddy Ballgame, Ted Williams. Card 56, rookie third baseman for the Miami Marlins, Brian Anderson. And card 57, former Royals prospect, Oakland Athletics pitcher, Sean Manaea. So the A's get another card this week. We know Ben will be picking that up, but headlined by Hall of Famer Teddy Williams. So do you think Teddy Ballgame outdoes the rookie this week?
And I think it's going to attack just the same order that they're released. 55 Ted, 56 Anderson, 57 Manaea. Rookie can't top Ted Williams.
First of all, the Ted Williams card by far is probably one of my top 3 to 5 favorite cards in this release. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. When I saw the Williams come in through my email, because they always have the headliner Topps when they send you the emails, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a good looking card. And I think that Brian Anderson, despite being a rookie, is going to be held down just a little bit by the fact that he's a Marlin, and that's going to be kind of a tough sell. So yeah, I think Stefan's right. Wilt Williams is going to clip him just because of who the Hall of Famer is compared to some of the other ones that might be featured or have been featured and might be in upcoming releases. And then the only reason that Sean Manaea might get a little bit more run than a typical, I mean, he's an ace, borderline ace for the A's, probably a number 2, number 3 starter on other teams, is because he did have a no-hitter earlier in the year back in April. So there are possibly going to be some people. To me, though, I've met Sean, and I wasn't too thrilled with the artwork. When I saw the picture, I was like, I mean, it looks like him. You can tell it's him. It's not the best. I don't know if it's the photo that they used. It just seems like he's too much neck. And I know that his nickname is the baby giraffe, but I wasn't a fan of the photo.
Well, for those guys watching on YouTube, we do have it up. We showed the Teddy Ball game one. It just looks a little different than the rest. You're right. Manaea looks, looks good. Brian Anderson's one. I don't think I've ever really seen him before. But this one kind of looks like Create a Player from like MLB The Show.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of looks generic, but again, I think overall, I think we've been big fans of this set. Interesting week. I mean, we get a really good Hall of Famer. I just kind of wish that we had a little bit more spread amongst the teams. I know they had some artwork. There was an article that was shared with us this week about how they have, they had like 30 or 40, set up so they could roll these out as they go week by week. But, I'm still waiting on a second Royals one. I think we're waiting on a second Giants one. Let me pull my list here real quick. Yeah, I mean, we have one from the Diamondbacks, one White Sox, one Red, one Indian. They're a really good team. One Rocky, one Tiger, one Royal, one Brewer, one Twin, one Pirate, one Giant, one Ray, one Ranger. And again, the Bartolo Colon's odd to me. He's the only one, and Ben brought this up, he's the only one with a body shot. Why didn't they? I mean, was his head too big to fit on the card? His face?
I would have been interested in having them do like body shots of the retired and Hall of Fame players,
sure,
and close-ups of the current players to kind of differentiate.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been cool. Why they did Bartolo? One thing, the three of us were talking earlier, and I know this is off topic, and we'll get into this maybe on an upcoming week about the Topps Throwback Thursday series that they're doing, and just the lopsidedness of the teams and the players that are featured. With something like that, it comes out weekly. It's probably you got Topps Living and Topps Now, and then Throwback Thursday is kind of a throwaway set, just like Topps On Demand, which isn't even a consistent week-to-week product. With Topps Living, though, the way that they've designed this, I would hope moving forward that the blend of teams, because it's possible you might wait 6, 8, 10 weeks from one of your favorite teams' releases to the next. And if you're going to spread this out over 3 cards per week indefinitely for years to come, you're going to want to keep the Rays. And I know that they're a younger team, so they don't have the history of Yankees, but you've got to keep them vested, because you're going to start losing some of the casual collectors. Someone like myself who's only grabbing certain players. If you're collecting the entire set, you're going to grab whoever they release, regardless of who it is. But you want to make sure that balance. There are going to be certain teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox who will have 5 cards when other teams only have 2 or 3. But for the A's, despite that being my favorite team, them getting a 3rd card before a lot of other popular teams get a 2nd card was a little disappointing to me. If you're looking at it entirely, I thought Topps could have chosen anybody else as opposed to Manaea.
Yeah, and it's just interesting, like you said, the Throwback Thursday. I want to get into that probably in 2 weeks, because I think we're going to have a big show next week with the National, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, it's interesting to me. Spread it out a little bit. I know they rushed Acuna up and got him done so he could come out right when he hit, which I like. It's smart on their part, and he's still the #1 seller with over 46,000 cards. So the real big release box-wise that came out this week was 2018 Topps Allen and Ginter. Came out yesterday. You can get a box. Per blowout was sold out, so I had to go somewhere else. DA Card World had it at $99.95. I know my LCS had it about $94 for a box. You're going to get 24 packs, 8 cards per pack. In your box break, you're going to get 3 quote hits. They consist of autographs, relics, original buybacks, and rip cards. The rip cards are cool. There's doubles and singles of that inside. There's mini SPs or metal cards. Wood cards are original artist originals. And my question to you guys, real quick, before we get into this and talk about the set and the cards, have you guys ever had a rip card yourself?
Ben? Well, I'm not Ben, but I've pulled one. It was a Felix PA, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Single, before they thought to put on doubles. Ripped it naturally because it's Felix PA. But got a mini short print, Clayton Kershaw. So I mean, nice. This was after they implemented the ways that you can hide what the card is. So the original set, 2006 set, I think, if you held it up, you could tell what was the original T206 or if it was this, that, or the other. So they implemented a couple of security measures, which, again, it's Felix PA Cubs. No offense.
He was supposed to be the next Juan Uribe or Juan Pierre, wasn't he? I mean, he was going to hit.
Pierre.
Supposed to be at the time.
One home run in his career. I mean, he was going to be like the next Glenn Kuiper.
Yep.
It's not Glenn Kuiper. Dwayne Kuiper. Get it right. Get the right Kuiper. Benjamin, have you ever had a rip card?
I do. I just picked one up. But let me say that it is ripped. It is Mark McGwire from this year. I have the 2014 or 2015 Sonny Gray also. I bought it ripped. Whoever's in the if Ken's out there, he's listening. Earmuffs. We're about to mention Brent again. He did text me yesterday and said that he had pulled the Mark McGwire and offered it to me before I hit eBay, and I was like, that's a lot. My issue with it is if you have it in hand, you're going to be tempted to rip it because what if you have something super special inside?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one thing I can say about that, if they're at a 50. It's probably just most likely the most I've seen the last couple of years, they're just going to be the short print minis that are in there, and those are cards 351 to 400. So if you build the mini set, it's the only way to get them is inside those rip cards. Typically the lower numbered rip cards are the ones where you're going to have the originals, the artists, the metal, the woods, all those will be there. So it's one of those things like, do you rip it? Like I was watching Mojo Break and they had a dual rip card out of 50, Harper Trout. What do you do, right? And so the way they do with theirs is they have a system and they random what team gets the card, and the Nationals guy got it and he had him rip the card, and he was a Frank Thomas and I want to say Carlos Correa. Those are the two minis inside there. It's a numbered out of 50 dual rip card, but two awesome guys on the front. You have the minis, but the kind of standard is if it's under 25, you're probably going to get one of those other cards. Or if it's a guy like Shohei or Jeter or Judge, sell it and let somebody else deal with that and, kind of recoup any money that you put in to get that rip card. It's kind of the thought process. I think it's pretty smart. What do you guys think?
I loved I bought the McGwire for $20 ripped. It's good value as far as I was concerned. The guy did have an or best offer, and it's like, I'd really like to have one. To me, as a team and player collector, I'm okay just having the card. I don't have to have it unripped. And I'm not going to pay, in a multiplier of 8 in order to pick one up, because you're always going to be tempted every time you come across that card. Like, should I? What's in there? Yeah. But for me to spend, I think we all live in the same financial world where we can only afford pennies compared to other guys. Brent and I were talking about it. And I said, "You gonna rip it?" He goes, "Nah, probably not." And I said, if you're him, you sell it as is. If you're me, you just buy the unripped one afterward. If you're somebody that pulls it out of a pack, then that's up to you. And like you said, depending on who it is. If it was the Harper Trout, I might have just left it as is.
Yeah,
probably more value.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Do you gamble? I mean, 2 years ago, I had a rip card out of a break I was in. It was a Hosmer, and I didn't have them. It was with Mojo. I didn't have them rip it. I didn't send it to me, and I sat there and I looked at it for about a week.
Yeah.
And then one Saturday morning, I got up and I said, "I'm done. I'm gonna rip it." And it was inside was a Maikel Franco, mini. I ended up selling it, I don't know, $30-$40, and it paid for my spot and a little bit more. So not a bad deal. But this year's set is beyond the rip cards. There's in a box. You're going to get 12 base short prints. You're going to get 24 mini base parallels. You're going to get 12 full-size inserts and 4 to 5 mini inserts. And also you're going to get a box topper or one of those N45 cards, which are pretty cool. I did see a couple of boxes that were open that had 2 box toppers. So it makes me wonder if others got left out, didn't get any, or they just had extra. I did see an auto Goldschmidt out of 15 get pulled, which was pretty cool for the box toppers. So you're going to get there's a 300 card base set, 50 card short print set, and you're going to get one every other pack. So that's where you get your 12. They have hot boxes again this year, and they're not the foil, but they're a full size glossy, silver glossy parallel. And the inserts and the minis are not. It's just the base cards. And then you're going to get 6 mini parallels, and there's a gold border minis, but those are only in retail.
Did you see the other mini parallel that Topps commented on?
Oh, no.
Someone asked a question to the @Topps account on Twitter and specified, hey, I heard this glows in the dark, taking a ripoff of the 1991 Glowback issue. And Topps said, maybe they do. Because it has like a felt type texture, and they obviously wasn't the basic insert. I'll try to pull it up here. But they ran it underneath the blacklight, and yeah, sure enough, it lights up just like some of the 1991s.
That was like 2013.
What's the print run supposed to be on those?
Really low.
Well, that's like in 13 or was it 13 or 14 where they hid cards in the top lid of the box, and so then everybody had to go dumpster diving 3 or 4 days later to pull out. I remember I was in a break with a card shop, and a certain someone was trying to start breaks with him, and he was doing a break, and I'm like, dude, you need to rip the box open.
And I did.
And I was like, no, like not open the box, but the lid of the box. And this is really before I knew Ben, but I was just giving him a hard time. Like, no, the top lid of the box, there's cards in there, and he was confused. And I wish I knew that video was, because it'd be hilarious to watch over and over again. There's full size inserts here, guys. There's baseball equipment of the ages, fantasy gold mine, which is past players using current sabermetrics, world talents, which is elite international MLB elite players. I don't know how elite they are, because one of them was I think a Max Kepler. And here we go. I'm pulling up stuff. It shows the parallel here that glows in the dark. Yeah, it does have a different look to it.
What the heck did I pull? This Matt's card has an embossed border, a felt back, and someone said they glow in the dark. Topps reply, wait, what? And he replies, it doesn't need glow.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Those are neat. It looks like they're selling from anywhere from $50 to $200 on eBay, depending on who the player is. Quite a few of them right in the $80 to $100 range. I don't know if they're selling for that, but that's what they're being listed as. So they're neat.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts just on Ellen Ginter this year, or in general, and then also this year? Steph, what do you think so far?
From what I've seen, it's more of A&G. It used to be my all-time favorite set at the time of its earliest releases, 06, 07, 08. A gorgeous set. Some people don't like the extra non-baseball players. It is what it is. It's their one set a year that they make a chance at it. I like it. I wish the design were a little bit more different, but I understand that they've run out of the original Allen and Ginter designs, so they're trying to just spiff them up here and there. But yeah, check it out if it interests you guys.
Yeah, the one thing I miss is, didn't they a couple years they had to crack the code?
Yep. And for I think first 6-7 years.
Yeah, they even had the last couple. Kind of missed that. Ben, what are your feelings on this year's set, and also just in general?
There's actually 2 sets a year that I closely relate in cardstock feel and overall design. I think they live in the same shopping aisle of a grocery store, so to speak, and that's Gypsy Queen and Ginter. The difference being Ginter has the non-sports, where Gypsy is a little more focused on having veteran and Hall of Fame players. Personally, I like Gypsy better. I like the overall design. Ginter to me is very blah, despite the fact that I know the history and lineage of the Ginter dating back 100 years. But to me, it's okay. I grab the team set, of course. I'll grab some parallels here and there. To me, it's not as big. Now, granted, I am a through and through set collector. I have gotten away from that, focusing on team sets. But if you're a set collector with all the subsets on the checklist, it can be really, really fun. If you're a hit collector, though, that referencing that break from a couple of years ago that I did with DMP cards that Tim was a part of, we had 3 boxes, 9 hits, 8 of them were relics. The only auto was, I think, like a Bobby Bowden or something. And it was like a red auto, so it was a really good hit that year, being red auto. But if you're a hit collector, it's not the greatest product to buy into group breaks unless you're really going after a team set and things. It can be a fun individual break. To me, it's there.
Yeah,
it's the next one on the checklist of releases, but it's not something like Heritage that a lot of people get excited for.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most unique releases of the year. I do find it quite a bit interesting, and the reason being is that it has the non-sports stuff in there. The cardstock cards are usually, got a great feel, have a good look to them. I like the different things that they throw in there. And again, on the hits, you're getting mostly relics. The autos tend to be harder to pull for the baseball players, but the non-sports seem to follow more frequently. And they do hold their value a little bit better because those autos are a little harder to pull, and then get some interesting subjects. And sometimes it's the one chance you get to get that person's autograph. And I think on a card, or that one person had something that happened. And, I think that's really cool. And just in general, it just gives it a different feel than just being baseball cards. The one thing it's kind of, to me, unless you collect them, the minis kind of get in the way a little bit. But there are people that love those minis. They have the Allen and Ginter backs, the black parallel minis, and they're cool. But it's like, when I get them, like, they don't fit in the top. They bounce around inside of a soft sleeve. You have to get special pages for them. It's like kind of like, what do you do with them type deal. So interesting set. We're going to move on to the next release.
Quick, Tim.
Yeah.
I completed my Ginter X mini A's team set from last year, which is an online exclusive. I'm assuming they'll bring it back again this year. It's black cards as opposed to the white background. So they really are sharp, even though black cards obviously have the long lore of being easily chipped. So I just completed the mini Ginter X. They are fun. I mean, I like the mini cards, the tobacco size cards, but they're not for everyone. Much like Ginter, you really have to ask yourself one question is, how do I collect? What am I after out of a box, out of a set, out of a, collection? Because Ginter's either going to fit into that. I saw a lot of people last year complaining on Facebook groups saying, oh, what did I just buy? I opened up these cards and half of them aren't even baseball. So if you're not familiar with the product, it can be a really blah set. But again, for people that are super master collectors, if you're a Heritage guy that wants to collect everything, Ginter's 1A and 1B with Heritage.
Yep. So also it came out this week, 2018 Donruss Optic Baseball. About $90 a box. You're getting 20 packs per box and 4 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 autos, 15 rated rookies, and then also 15 inserts or parallels. You're getting the retro Donruss style and adding a chrome finish to it. You have a 175 card set, 100 which of base cards. You have 30 Diamond Kings, 35 rated rookies, 10 All-Star cards, and then all of these cards have various Prism parallels. The inserts, there's 5 insert sets and 6 auto sets. One of my favorite designs is the rated rookie retro from '84. Which is pretty cool. It's 84 rated rookie design, and it's basically the chrome version of Topps Chrome. It's Donruss Chrome basically. What do you guys thoughts on this?
It's not exactly held to the same standard as Topps Chrome, as its obvious competitor, but I broke a box last year at the National and pulled 2 twins autos out of the 2 promised hits. Can't complain. Probably said I'll break 1 or 2 up since I broke way too much regular based Donruss and I like it this year. Again, not for everyone. If you're a huge hit chaser, I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 2 autos per box. You're not going to pull your huge veteran, but you might pull an Otani or whoever else they're pushing this year. It's kind of a mismatch set. I mean, you're either going to like it or you're not.
Yeah, to me, it's one of those things. There's a lot of parallels or variations to the card, and kind of like Donruss. To me, Donruss felt a little bloated this year. With that, when you'd open a box, I felt like there was just so many parallels and variations of the base cards. It was just kind of like overdone a little bit. Similar with this, but it's got that prism technology, that optic technology on there, so it does give a different look and feel. But it's out there for you to go out and collect if you like shiny things, right?
Yep.
I got 3 words: save your money. Last year, in fact, I picked up the Ryan Healy Superfractor, which is not technically a Superfractor because that's a Topps word, from Donruss Optic last year, and it's my only complete rainbow, including the 1 of 1. And so obviously I was excited watching this one come up, and then I saw it, and I'm just like, it's a cheap chrome version of Donruss Base. It's the same parallels. It's the same photos. What's funny, as an A's fan and collector, is Ryan Healy was actually slated to be our Diamond King representative on the original checklist, and he got traded to the Mariners, so they changed him to Matt Olson. However, the Donruss base Diamond King still is Ryan Healy's picture with a Matt Olson name. This year for Optic, they changed Matt Olson, and I think what they did was they flipped Ryan Healy's body and did a really bad Photoshop on his face, and it's absolutely horrendous. I was so looking forward to Optic, and to me, at least Topps Chrome changes up the checklist, and they condense it from a 660, 700 card Series 1 and Series 2 down to 220 cards, different photos, different parallels. With Optic, it's literally, why couldn't they just do some Chrome cards, make the packs a little bit more, and stick like 3 of them per pack in there, and have a Chrome subset, an Optic subset with Optic parallels, one release.
And then that takes me on a whole different topic about Panini and some of the stuff they've done where they kind of mismatched some brands a few years ago. It was for I think it was football, it was like Donruss, Optic, Prism, Mosaic. It was like 4 or 5 of their brands, like all titled into one, and we kept making fun of it. But anyway, also this week, 2017-18 Panini Spectra Basketball came out, $280 a box, 1 pack per box, 9 cards per pack. You're going to get 3 autographs, 3 mem cards, 2 parallel, and 1 base. There's a 100-card base set that now includes rookie cards, which I think is the first time they've done that. Tons of colored parallels, from like silver prisms, white sparkle, neon blue, green, pink, orange. They also have red, gold, my favorite, nebula. I just think that's just fun to say. They have autographs, on-card rookie jersey autographs numbered out of $2.99, and then all those neon colors are $99 or less. There's a gold prime out of 10, and the nebula laundry tag is a 1 of 1. Saw some of this, the first off the line of this product. Very, very cool looking product. Really like breaker friendly, really hit friendly. But I think it's one of the final sets that they're going to release for the 17-18 rookie class, because next week there's another one coming out. So how long they're going to milk this rookie class? Because I think I don't know how many more they're gonna bring out. But hey, it's a good rookie class, so make 40, 60, 80 sets.
Training camp this year starts like now. It's like, at what point do you? And I want to make one more comment about Optic, just real quick, because it's not an Optic issue; it's a Panini issue. They need to start releasing their damn checklists like 2 or 3 days in advance, because otherwise I'm gonna stop buying their products.
Or at least the day of, right?
Yeah, it's day of, or halfway through the day, and it's like, I knew what the checklist was 2 days in advance because people were opening up the product, telling me what was on the checklist, and I'm going to look for an official checklist from Panini, and it's like nothing. Okay, most of us are on budgets. You want us to buy your product either as a, in a box break or go to the store and buy it. I'm sorry, most of us want to know, not off a sell sheet, what a couple of the cards look like. We want to know if our favorite players, if our favorite teams are in there, if there's enough return on value. And it's not just this one particular baseball product. It's just a Panini problem. And I don't understand why they do this time and time again.
Yeah. And the frustration for me there is it's wasn't it Donruss? It's like the same set, right? Like
pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, we can talk about those things. I mean, there's the one thing I love about our show, and again, we do this for us, and if you guys enjoy it and want to watch and listen, that's a bonus to us. I mean, that's really why we do this. We want to share our knowledge. It's a little easier than sending out tweets, and you kind of get to see us and know our personalities a little bit more. And the one thing is that no sponsorships. I don't want to be one of those podcasts that's like bought and sold, and hey, we're promoting this this brand, or because we got a couple free boxes, or that kind of thing. I want to be able to have an open and honest discussion about this. And this leads me to the point, the guys on Mojo Break talked about there's this the podcast thing at the National, and it's some of the best podcasts about sports cards on there, and a couple of them I've never heard of before. And it was the Fat Packs, it was the GTS guys, it was Steel City. It was let me get that Potograph, and there was like another one. And Mojo's like, hey man, we've been doing podcasts since we really started, and in about 2012 is when they started doing. They've had on and off different versions of their podcast, and like, hey, well, weren't we invited? And it's because they speak the truth. I mean, they sell product. That's what their business is selling an opening product. But the one thing I thought that I liked what they said was, they'll tell you the truth on a product. They're opening a couple cases of it, and they'll tell you if it's dog crap, even though they have 4 or 5 more cases on the shelf behind them that they need to sell through that they already bought. They're going to tell you. They might not have the case breaks. They'll mix it into a mixer or whatever, but they're going to let you know. And they're going to be honest about it. And also too, Sports Card Radio. I mean, they have hundreds of podcasts that they've released, and they've been around almost 10 years now. And they were invited, and that's because Ryan and Colin always, speak their opinion, and they don't have the sponsorships and, the kind of wild cards. And that's what I like about us, is that we can come on here and kind of tell you how we feel as being just collectors. We're not breakers. We're not, we don't have a websites. We're just the everyday collector. That's how I mean, we've talked about this before, the blue collar collectors. And I want to continue that and have these conversations, because there's good things and bad things about all of the brands that are all out there. And I think you guys will agree with me that that's kind of where we want to be on this, and to be able to have this feedback to say, hey, you know what, and call somebody out. Hey, that's crap that you don't have a checklist out on a product that you've already made. How do you not have it ready at least 2 days out, at least the day before, so I can see what it is if I actually want to go in and buy on the first day. You think that's the day you want people to go in and buy your product and open it and tell everybody about it, right? I know we're off topic here, but am I wrong?
No, because it's a marketing thing. The first thing that they're going to teach you in marketing 101 is not to throw money at potential. I can throw $1 million right now behind this podcast, but that doesn't mean anybody's going to listen. It needs to be word of mouth. It's all about value and content. The better product we have, the more people that are going to want to listen. And the fact that we're opening it up saying, hey, if you want us to talk about something, let us know. If we're rambling on about Brent Williams too much or our personal collections, and let us know, and we'll do our best to kind of change it. And if Panini comes at us right now and says, hey, we want to sponsor your show, hey, we'll take that check all day long. But I guarantee you, if they don't come out with a checklist next week, a couple of days before, I'm going to call them on that again, because it's ridiculous. And all the collectors that I know, for the most part, are all on limited budgets. We're all in that same boat where we have a finite amount of resources, and the marketing is word of mouth. Oh, we saw it. We saw the checklist. It looks good. I like it. Now you guys like it. Guess how many, Stefan puts together the checklist breakdowns in his Google Docs, and he's willing to share it. Hey, so-and-so team has so many hits. hey, that's cool. Now I know as an A's collector, because my friend Stefan put together some numbers, what to expect. We can't do that till the same day or the next day. Here it is Thursday evening, half hour before the podcast, and I'm putting together Donruss Optic a day, almost 2 full business days after it releases. Come on.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that, again, like you said too, Tim, it's literally a rinse and repeat product from Donruss Base. It's the exact same checklist 95% of the way. Stick it up there. It's ridiculous. And yeah, it's poor marketing is what it is.
I mean, we're all going to have our personal favorites. But no, I absolutely agree. The checklist isn't too hard. My personal vendetta against them, they put it out in Excel spreadsheets, and they list every single parallel of each individual card.
Plate, everything.
Every printing plate. Now, why don't you just say, hey, all of the base cards have number to 75. All of the auto sets have 75, 95, 99, 150, whatever.
Sure.
Minor complaint on my part. I know how to manipulate Excel. I can make it work, but that's my own personal vendetta. Topps has their own issues when you're trying to break down their PDFs. That's just the way that they release it, but at least normally Topps has it out 2-3 days prior to a release, if not a week out. But that's something that Panini can work on. And I mean, if they want to hire someone, I'm looking for a job right now.
Hey, and if anybody's good with checklists, Steph's the guy. I mean, he breaks that down. He can get you those numbers, and we really rely on that quite a bit. But anyway, I want to get us a little back on topic here about what's coming out next week. What's brewing? 2018 Topps Diamond Baseball Icons comes out next week, next Wednesday, along with Topps Clearly Authentic Baseball. You also have 2017-18 Panini Cornerstones Basketball. Again, there's another basketball release from a season that ended a month ago. And we've had a draft and free agency and training camps like next week, and very interesting. 2018 Panini Certified Football. It's always kind of a fun product there. 2018 Panini Immaculate Collegiate Football. So they'll be in their college uniforms. A little higher end product. And then 2018 Leaf Autographed Jersey Edition comes out. Those last two come out on Friday next week. Always interesting to see the jerseys because Leaf doesn't have a deal with the license, so I don't believe those are truly authentic jerseys, right? So, but you need to have an autographed jersey. You don't really know if it's framed up and hanging on a wall. You just see the jersey number and the autograph.
I don't know that those fall underneath since those aren't cards per se.
Yeah, but I've seen before where they're kind of a generic
jersey
they're missing, and maybe that was years past. Maybe we'll see. I'll make sure I find some breaks of it and report back and check those out because I always like to see those the autographed baseballs, the autographed jerseys are always really cool. Yeah, because they usually have some big helmets. Mini football helmets, yeah, even the big ones. I think that those always need to check out and see. I know TriStar is a big part of that, but sometimes there's a lot. It's a lot of Texas-based guys sometimes. So anyway, we have a couple topics for Infield Chatter this week, our Hobby Top section of the show. So as we all know, we talked about this a few weeks back. Topps now officially announced their exclusive deal with Major League Baseball. They extend the current deal, which was going to expire in 2020 to 2025. And Topps is the lone company making MLB baseball cards since 2010. They've had the exclusive. They're going to be going to 2025. I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, Topps has been making baseball cards for quite some time. And since 1952, you go out and swim in the 51. Sorry, 51. But 52's ones that are out in the ocean or the river, right?
I still got to remember red and blue backs from 51.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that I guess you can tell me a fanboy at Topps. I'm glad that they still have that they're still going to be making baseball cards, and it's not another exclusive under Panini's belt. I would like to see at some point in time that they allow somebody else to make cards, but it's the MLB's prerogative, and if it's Topps, then that's fine. Guys, real quick thoughts on Topps getting that?
I mean, like you were saying, I wish that they could share a little bit more, but that's on MLB. So if they want one person making it, and they've been doing it since, like I said, 51, and they had a set in like 39 or something like that. But they've been doing it for a very long time. And outside of Upper Deck's 2010 release, they've been doing it since then. Let them keep printing the presses.
It's dance to the one you brought, right? I mean, they've had this long-term partnership. I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about our friend Mario's article. This is the worst kept secret. We knew they were going to extend it. The question was 5 years, 7 years, option years. Okay. We all have our complaints about pictures and photos and parallels, etc. But overall, and plus the older I get, the more I spend on time I spend on Twitter, the more I realize I become a Topps apologist from the economics side of things and why it makes sense for Topps. Major League Baseball is like, hey, we're your partner. Cool. Write the check. This is how much we want this year. If Topps balked at it, then all of a sudden it gets shopped. Guaranteed. If they say we want $15 million and Topps is like, cool, do you want that in large bills, small bills? Can we write you a check? Do you need a cashier's check? You want it certified? MLB is going to say, cool, we'll see you in 5 years. And if it's $20 million and Topps writes it, guess what? This is going to be indefinitely. So we really stop talking about it. Like it's not going to change, basically.
They pay their bills too. I mean, I think that's the big part of it. I think that they come through on their promise, to the MLB and to the Players Association, and that's important. And they've had a solid relationship for so long, and why break that up? You've seen kind of Fanatics take over, and there was some talk, a little speculation that they might shift it to Fanatics, and because they've become such a monster in authentication, and that they might start making cards. But I'm glad it stayed with Topps. It belongs there. Baseball belongs with Topps. Even if they were to share the license, Topps would, in my mind, always need to have a license to make baseball cards, because that's just what they do. I mean, that's Anyway, moving on. We've talked a lot about that. A story that was brought to us by a follower on Twitter, and I thought it was really interesting. It was a Philly Puck fan, I believe is the handle, sent us a message, hey, to make us aware of this. And I think this came out on July 16th. It was a tweet from Beckett Media's Twitter handle. Yeah, the 16th was the Monday. And it says, hashtag Beckett by the numbers. Today we honor the memory of Ray Emery. Ray was a 2-time Stanley Cup champion and a hell of a teammate. Check out his numbers in our database, and then hit up at Burbank's Card Store to add some to your collection. Hashtag the hobby. There's a link, and it's tagged the Fat Packs Podcast, Burbank Sports Cards, and the Auto Senators. Ray Emery died tragically on Sunday, swimming in a lake with friends and family. And we talked about this before early on in one of our first episodes when Dwight Clark passed away, and using RIP in the title on eBay. And this is, to me, I want to hear your guys' thoughts, but to me, it should have been better thought through. I understand the initial thought and intent behind it. Hey, if you're a fan of this guy, here's a way to go and get some of his cards. And here's some of his cards and the value and the number of cards he has. And they do these Beckett by the numbers every so often, and they're really insightful, and they're good to see. I just think it was the wrong time to do this. Maybe a couple of weeks from now, a month from now, maybe cycle it through. I'm not a hockey guy, and we'll go to Steph for that in a sec, but he's not. It wasn't anything like he'd been like, hey, he just had retired. He was in the news for something else. You might want to check this out, but he's in the news for passing away. And hey, go buy some of his cards from somebody we have a good business relationship with. Just kind of felt kind of creepy and kind of
cheap.
Just not a good feeling in my tum-tum about it. Steph, you know more about hockey than Ben and I'll probably ever know. And that's not, I mean, I never grew up with hockey. So if you can tell us a little bit about Ray and his career, and then what your thoughts are on this, I would really appreciate it.
Sure. I mean, I know Ben is pretty opinionated this, and I'm glad you kind of tossed it to me first. Hockey is a lot different from the other sports where you can kind of bounce around from the team to team, but everyone in organized play, everyone in the minor leagues is kind of like a huge family. They all come from the same groups of areas in the different countries. They all grew up playing with each other, or they all know someone who knows someone who knows someone. My dad played with one of the 1980 U.S. Olympic team members, the Broughtons. And it's it's one of those things where it's a very unfortunate passing. I think they said that he drowned. His best years were obviously well behind him. I think he stopped playing in like 14, 15. And I think he posted a couple 20-win seasons, a couple 30-win seasons. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. 2006-07, best year, probably 33 wins, 16 losses. For a goalie, 30 wins is really, really good. It's extremely unfortunate, and it's definitely a misstep on Beckett's part. Now, I'm not going to slam him on it because everyone makes mistakes, but they definitely should have held off on this. Definitely should have not made it a marketing ploy. And, maybe they look at it and say, hey, yeah, that was kind of shitty. Everyone's going to be looking for it now. I'm pretty sure everyone knows where to look for cards.
Yeah, and real quick before you hop in here, Ben, a couple things I want to point out. There was a lot else going on Monday. We had the home run derby, so there's a ton of guys you could have talked about. We had the All-Star game on Tuesday. There's that. It could have been Machado. There was all the trade talk about him. That would have been a good one. Hey, for you Dodger, Yankee, or Philly fans who might be getting Machado, here's his card information. And just a little bit more could have gone into it. And I think the big factor in the listener that sent this to us is that the person that made the post for Beckett came out and said, yeah, that was me. I put it together, but never really said, yeah, hey, you know what? I should have rethought that. Maybe it wasn't the best. And kind of, it kind of went back and forth a little bit where, again, one thing you just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, probably my bad on this. I shouldn't have done it this way. And I think all of that is kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of it. But when you just kind of like don't do that, and you kind of keep driving through and like, hey, it is what it is. That could have been handled a little bit better on there. But Ben, what are your thoughts? I know you have some on this.
Absolutely. First off, prayers, condolences, your of thoughts to the Ray Emery friends and family and everybody, associated with NHL that knew him. It's unfortunate. He's 35 years old. His life far too young. Unfortunately, it does happen. To drown is it's a sad story, and we need to respect that. You have now people who are going to capitalize. It bothered me a lot to, Bryce Harper wins the home run derby on Monday night. So Tuesday, everybody and their brother are trying to capitalize and sell high on Bryce Harper's newfound fame, as if he wasn't a very popular name in the hobby Sunday, because he was. Had it been Max Muncy or something, I could see somebody trying to sell high, sell, right? But to capitalize on the death of somebody, I was telling you guys the story off air right before we came on that I went into a Hollywood video some years ago, the day of or the day after that Heath Ledger had passed. And they've got this huge display as you walk in the door of every single movie. I mean, they must have went to the warehouse looking for more movies to find and promote. Come buy his movie. It's like, if I didn't want to see his movie yesterday, I sure enough don't want to see it today. And the same thing is, I'm not going to collect Ray Emery cards because now, unfortunately, he's passed away. There was a guy on Twitter that upset me the day after Jose Fernandez passed away. And he's like, oh, I'm going to start collecting Jose Fernandez cards. What do you have? Show me what you have. And I'm like, let us process this, with due respect to he and his family and his friends who also perished, who we don't remember their names because they weren't part of the Major League Baseball family. There were 3 lives lost on that boat that day. And we need to pay our respects. Let's not capitalize on the death of a 24-year-old pitcher or a 35-year-old ex-hockey player or an 80-year-old Hall of Famer who's no longer with us. Death is part of life. We all understand that and have compassion towards that. But to me, it's just sick and dirty. And for a company like Beckett, and I know the comments that Fat Pax, Eric Norton made, hey, I put it together, and we're not getting anything out of this, really, because you're still promoting your database. So yes, you are marketing around the death of this guy, and they've got to deal with Burbank. And if Burbank all of a sudden starts selling, an excess amount of cards of Emery, within a 24, 40-hour window, people are profiting off of his death.
Yeah.
And shame on you.
The one thing is the Burbank, the link leads through the Beckett site where you can buy them from Burbank through Beckett. So,
and that's even more disgusting. So yeah, you are getting your cut of the pie, and it's cheap and it's sickening. And don't do it. Hey, you want to sell your cards? Fine. I'm sorry. If I didn't want Ray Emery cards yesterday, I don't want him today because he's dead, or Jose Fernandez, or whomever the next person inevitably that passes away. Either you want them because you're a collector of that player or that team, or you don't. But have a little tact. At least let the body be buried, and then let the family say their final, piece and mourn before you automatically are like, oh, he's dead. Here, let me show you what I have. To me, that's just cheap and unnecessary.
That's the biggest point to bring up there is if I didn't collect him yesterday, why am I going to collect him today when he's he's no longer here? That to me that's kind of odd and weird if that's how what your PC is. I mean, everybody collects their own way. To me, that's a really odd one. You do these things like when somebody makes a Hall of Fame, when someone makes an All-Star team. If they've done Muncy on Monday, hey, he's the first-time All-Star. He's kind of muddled through the minor leagues, and all of a sudden, bam, he's an all-star in the home run derbies, hitting a home run, every one, 10 at-bats or some ungodly number right now. Talk about that. Talk about the good in the hobby. Talk about some of the up-and-coming. Talk about good things in the news. I mean, it's one of those things it's something we just don't need. And, I kind of want to move on here, and it's going to sound like we're Beckett bashing and tonight, but it's just we're bringing things to people's attention. The other thing that I want to talk. Oh, go ahead.
They intentionally stepped in it, so they deserve on this topic what they get. Yeah, if they would have retracted and said, "Hey, you know what? You're right. It was probably in poor taste. Let us retract the tweet." Or once it was brought to their attention that by Philly Puck fan, it bothered me. It bothered me. And just say, hey, you know what? I apologize. It might have been in poor taste. We were just trying to let collectors know that we have an extensive database. No offense to the Emery family. No offense to any.
Just own it. Just own it. That's the thing. They didn't own it. They kept going after it and just saying, well, I don't know.
And Muncy's a great example because, a couple of weeks ago, Tim, you offered me a Elite Extra Edition Muncy auto because it was with the Oakland because it was Panini. And you're like, do you want it? And I'm like, I have one. And in one breath, I just said I dislike people selling at the height of their popularity to capitalize. But I told you, hey, if you don't want that, throw it on eBay because you're going to maximize. And you did. What'd you get for it? Like $20?
Yeah, 2 different ones, and I netted around a little over $40 for both of them. So
turn it into Royals cards.
Actually Buster Posey cards. And the reason I talk about Beckett bashing and stuff, and I've always appreciated Beckett, even as a little kid, getting the monthlies in the mail, which I always loved. And now, I'm going to I have an online account with them. I'm back and forth if I keep it or not. Right now it's automatic with debited, so it's staying for now. But there's some things that were brought to my attention in the last couple weeks about Beckett grading, and we talked about how they've suspended 10 days. We talked about their backup. We talked about how their 10 days doesn't start until they open your package. So your package could sit there for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 weeks, whatever it happens to be. But they're grading facsimile autographs, and I just found 4 quick ones without doing a lot of research. They graded a 2018 Heritage Decal insert of Mike Trout, which has a facsimile auto on the front. You turn it over, it just lists it gives you a little decal in for it has tops and it has the card number, but there's nowhere that says this autograph is issued and guaranteed by Topps or Topps representative or any of the language they have on there. I also saw one that was on Twitter this week of a 2011 Bowman Chrome throwback Albert Pujols autograph. that they got, and Steph's pulled them up here, so I'm going to click on it so we can see. And it's a facsimile. And even if you read down in the notes, they said, hey, they mistakenly graded this as an autograph, but the auto did get a 10. There's a 2011 Bowman Chrome Prospect auto of Bryce Harper that they graded. On the 2011 set, they had the facsimiles on the cards themselves. Since the Chrome version, they autographed they graded the autograph there. And then 2000, my favorite, if you can click on that one, Steph, the 2017 Bowman Then and Now, Corey Seager. So if you guys know what these are, those not watching, it's an insert set that has their first Bowman Chrome card, and it has a current. Let me see if I got it here. It has a current photo of them on there, and so it's like two little small pictures on one regular size card, and that's what is. I got it.
You got it.
That's what's on the autograph. I mean, it's crazy to me. It's not a real autograph, and nowhere on there does it say it's an autograph. I just don't, guys. I don't understand. Tell me like that. There's a whole blowout forum dedicated to these. I didn't even pull any out of there. These are the 4 I found on Twitter in the last few months since April that have been on there. There's a whole, like I said, Blowout has a forum for it.
The issue is twofold. One, obviously, if you've got an autograph, you're going to be a little hesitant to want to send it in because of the whole 10-day submission, and I've seen cracked cases recently coming back. So the whole faith in Beckett's grading system is lowered right now. And we've been on the record. I'm not a grader. I have very few graded cards in my collection. And I've always been on record as saying if I ever buy a 52 Mickey Mantle, I will have to buy it graded because I want to ensure its authenticity. The issue now becomes is your quality and control is so questionable at the moment by grading obvious facsimile autos, or if you're not sure, you should be educated enough to look up a decal card from this year and understand that they're non-auto cards. Because now it's like if you don't know what you're looking at as far as the product in front of you, why should I trust your eye to give my card a grade? Because the difference between a 9 and a 9.5 is dollars. Doesn't matter if it's $1 or $100, it's dollars and cents. And for people that are grading these cards with the intent to increase their value, the whole system becomes questionable, and it's not.
My question is, look at the back of the card.
Sure, absolutely.
It says if it's an autograph or not. Wouldn't that be the first? Wouldn't you have like a piece of paper that if you're Beckett grading, it says is autograph yes or no? If you're not sure, flip the card over, and on the back of the card, it's going to tell you. And Steph's been pulling these up. I'm clicking on them here. It's going to tell you if it's an auto or not.
You know what's funny is there's like T-shirts.
The Seager's the worst one. The Seager is the worst one by far because the autograph is so small on it.
I have a T-shirt that my 4-year-old Bentley wears, and it's made in China. And on the tag, when you read it to see what material it's made of for washing instructions, it says, remove child from T-shirt before placing and washing. And it's like, you would think that's so obvious. Yes, Beckett, if you have this card and it's got an auto, let's verify the authenticity of the auto before we verify a grade.
Well, and you think that they're numbered differently.
If you're not sure, ask somebody. You got a partner sitting next to you, I'm sure.
You have a database.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Oh, yeah. The one that has all the Ray Emery cards in it, right? Same database? It's like if you're going to promote it on one hand, left hand, right foot. Come on, same body. I got a database, and it's got all the cards. Really? Does it tell you that Deckel's non-autoed?
I know for a fact as well that inside their facility that they have every single Beckett magazine and publication that they've ever produced.
I bought a 1982 top set the other day, guys. Guess what? All 726 cards came autographed.
That's legit.
For $40.
Some of my 82s were missing some of the signature. Are those real or not?
Doesn't matter. I wrote them on there myself. I'm going to send the whole set in. It's $1 million set.
You know,
I bought it for $40. Eat your hearts out.
You know, these are the things. These couple things that we bring up tonight are the things that get frustrating in the hobby. And no checklist, grading autographed cards that aren't autographed. You know, promoting players. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer because that's not what we do here. We're just letting you guys know what's out there. And one, be careful and be safe when you are buying cards. And you know, you think when you're safe when you're buying a graded card that it's legit. You know, it's not limited to Beckett. I know there's been some issues with PSA and people faking tags and things like that. And those security things I think have become better with PSA as they do grade more vintage cards. And you have a vintage card, people tell you to go to PSA to have it graded. If you're going to grade new stuff, people tend to send it to Beckett. I just personally, if I buy graded cards, I'm going to buy them already graded, because usually you can get them for a discount and you're not worrying about shipping your card in there and paying the shipping there and back and paying for the grading service and not knowing what the grade is. It's here. There's
one thing is, I got into a disagreement with my boss today because he wants me to ask my plumbing technicians. I run a plumbing company, and he's like, "Hey, make sure they got invoices in the morning." And I said, "No, I don't run a daycare center. I come to work dressed with my teeth brushed and my shoes on, right? That's what I have to do to come to work. You come to work prepared. In other words, I expect my guys to call the customer when they're on their way. That's the accountability on our end to set that customer experience. I want to go on record as saying I respect Beckett's place in the hobby and what they provide, the services they provide. They have their place. Some of us buy their magazines or subscriptions online. Some of us, grade through them. Okay, that's your prerogative. But when you mess up, you got to be held accountable. Sorry. We expect certain things from these companies. We expect checklists to be out on time so we can make buying decisions individually. We expect them to be able to grade a card appropriately and understand the difference between an authentic pen to paper autograph, whether it was actually signed by the person on the card or not, is for them to also determine. But it's the basics. You should at least understand whether or not that card was actually had a piece of, a pen attached to the front of the paper and somebody moving their hand in a circular motion until the autograph had been completed.
Or a machine. Let's not get back into the deck
you
press.
Should be able to know. And there's plenty of information available. To me, it just reeks of poor quality of control and poor standards.
Yeah.
And if that's what you expect out of, if you're basically saying that you guys are idiots, and we really don't care as long as we're cashing your check on your auto debited monthly online subscription, we got your money, and there's no accountability. I'm sorry, we have to hold their feet to the fire. And next week, if Beckett does something good, I will be more than happy to sit here and compliment them and tell them how great they're doing. I've got a lot of respect for them and some of the people they employ, like our good friend Ryan Cracknell.
Yeah,
he's a good
awesome
guy,
man.
Great Absolutely. For the hobby. But if Ryan makes a mistake, I hope Ryan would understand. And I apologize to Ryan in advance. We're not picking on him, but we should all be accountable. You're accountable at your job. I'm accountable at mine.
Yeah, and I think he'd be the first to come up and say that. But he would take the accountability.
This is how they pay their bills. Yeah. This is what they represent. If you're going to offer a service, it needs to be held to the highest standard. And if it's not, whether it's a mistake or not, it's our job as the collectors to say, hey, wait a minute. We're going to call you on this one. And we'll be the first ones to compliment you when you do a good job.
And they do a really good job for the hobby as far as, like we said, the database. If you're looking for cards or you want to get, a picture of a card that might be hard to find, they have a really deep database, and it's awesome. And they do good work. And Cracknell probably does some of my favorite work. His stories are always good. He's always insightful and adds things to the hobby. But that's why we do this podcast. Is we're going to share the good, the bad, the ugly with everybody, so we can educate and be insightful on these things and give a real collector's aspect on this. I mean, we're not selling breaks, we're not selling product, we're not selling singles as our jobs, right?
Our interest is in our hobby, and the only way that we can incite change is to voice our opinion. Sometimes it won't be heard. Or it'll be heard, but they can't necessarily act on everyone's wishes, it may not be conducive to their bottom line. Maybe it's just one of those things. Hey, we're listening, but here's why we can't. But
yeah,
there are certain things. It's completely. I mean, it's amateur hour. These crazy cards with autographs that are not legitimately autoed. When you sent me that tweet the other day, you showed me that picture of that pool holes for $200. It's like, I don't collect pool holes, but I'm gonna grab it for $200. Why? Because that's a heck of a deal. Until you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not an authentic auto. It's been misgraded. It's just, hey, sorry, Beckett, you messed up here, and you messed up on tweeting out about promoting the death of somebody. And hey, this week you're 0 for 2.
A true 1 of 1.
Yeah. What is that you pulled up, Steph?
So it looks like it's a newspaper clipping put inside of a Leaf Pride of the Pinstripe for a cut signature set that the AP writers wrote the names of the players in front of them, and Leaf hawked it as a autograph, and Beckett authenticated it as an autograph. So does that mean this Babe Ruth
is real too? And I like how the placement of the names that are written on the gentleman's right below the belt buckle there. And also too, the thing where it also bothers me a little bit on the Beckett grading on some of this stuff is it said died 1988. I know I've seen some graded stuff of Puckett on an authentication of his autograph. It says deceased. It's weird to me. We all know that this gentleman, Whitey Witt, we probably know if he played with Babe Ruth that he probably died at some point. And I don't think we need to have that on the card. Does it
make the card better because it says it? Pretty simple question. Does it make the card better or more collectible because it says he died in 1988? I would challenge anybody who said, yeah, sure. Come on. It does not make it better. Therefore, leave it off.
Well, I want to move on to some brighter subjects tonight as we get to the end of the show here tonight. I want to go down a road with you guys, Prospect Road. This is going to be our prospecting section where right now we're going to focus on a prospect maybe to kind of follow or maybe even collect here as we hit to the end of the second half of the season. Trade deadline comes up. A lot of prospects move places for superstars and all-stars and relief pitchers. And it's a good time to kind of get an idea of some prospects we kind of are looking at and or guys that aren't maybe in the top 100 or the top 50 that could be there next year. Maybe to get a jump on if you do a prospect, which I do a little dabble in there. Just note, I don't prospect pitchers because the
volatility of them.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. It's a hard one to do if you hit. Oh, awesome. But it's so hit and miss there. I mean, even look at Strauss, man. I mean, Strasburg was as hot as it could be and not so much anymore. So we're going to lead off Steph tonight. Who is your prospect to watch for the final half of 2018?
So his name's in the paper this week, just traded for Manny Machado, but also had a future game selection in 2018 with Tulsa. It's also the Cal League Player of the Month for last month, June. Player of the Week at the end of the month. And I just happened to pull from a giveaway that Ben never saw. A Bowman Platinum, Bowman Trending, used Neil Diaz. And I'm sorry if I butchered that name. But that's the player that I had chosen. Traded as part of the huge piece for Manny Machado from the Baltimore Orioles to the Dodgers. Keep an eye out for him. See where he ends up. If he ends up in the outfield for the Orioles, I guess now.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I mean, I kind of heard the name a little bit. His name's starting to grow, and it'll be interesting to see. As the Orioles rebuild, and this could be the young piece of their next future, and maybe maybe a future All-Star. Outfielders are always a good investment because they can play usually one or two outfield positions, or worst case, if they're in the American League, they can always DH and hit. So, nice choice there. Benjamin, who is your prospect to watch for the final half of 2018?
I will say, first, boys, I was not as prepared for this segment as I should have been. One guy, it's going to be a homer pick. He's been up and down all year. Came up a little bit last year as a 21-year-old rookie. I think he has lost his rookie of the year status, however, due to playing time, is Franklin Barreto of the A's. He's now 22. Before the A's went on this tremendous run this season, all of a sudden put themselves in the playoff picture. Jed Lowry on his final year of the contract, $6 million total. He's owed about $2 million left at this point. A lot of A's fans, myself included, are like, hey, got to get off the 34-year-old second baseman, make room for Barreto, see what we can get for Lowry. And then all of a sudden, the A's start winning. And, Barreto right now is striking out at 43% a clip. He's hitting 212 at the major league level. His walk rate's something like 6%. And that's really why he's not at the major league level right now. We will see him definitely in September. But you can have his cards for really cheap. And the fact that he did play last year and this year, he's being featured quite a bit this year with autos. And I think he had one in Top Salute Auto, if I'm not mistaken. He's had one in Finest, I believe. He's had a handful at the very least. So it's nice. They're can be had all day long for anywhere from $6 to $10. It's a really nice autograph. So for people that are really particular about the quality of the autograph, he signs really well. And I definitely think he'll be with the A's in some capacity next season. It just really depends on, personally, I'd like to see him at shortstop at the moment and put Simeon on the bench. But he's actually had a Tops Now card, at least one this year. He had a 2-homer, 6 RBI game. So if you're looking for somebody fun, he came over in the Donaldson trade a couple years ago. He's a good young prospect. And as an A's fan, it'll be fun to see assuming they keep him, what his future holds for a while.
Because I solely exist to prove Ben wrong. One of the two major rules are the amount of days that you spend on the roster or 130 plate appearances, and he has exactly 130 plate appearances. But
wrong, but it shows that he's not going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year because he's coming up and he will get his one at bat. I can honestly see him up and down for a portion of next year as well, before he either does or doesn't make the majors. But if you're looking for a guy with a little bit more name recognition, who's played at the major league level already and can have his autos, that's the other thing too. Unlike Diaz, I don't know how many cards he has. Barreto has a lot.
Yeah.
Or at least, enough to where you can start putting together a small PC of them if you wanted.
Well, and if you're looking for someone that is going to end up on your team because the A's can't afford him any longer, you might want to start banking up.
That's what I said. Yeah. It's a prospecting within prospecting. You have a 1 in 29 chance that he'll be part of your team next. And
I never thought we talked this much about Franklin Barreto ever. Moving on. So get your cheap Franklin Barreto autos. The gentleman I picked, he's only 19. He plays in Class A, Lexington. He leads all minor leaguers in home runs. One of the big notes on him is he has opposite field power. He played in a Futures game this year and homered off Justice Sheffield, who's only given up 2 all year, who's a big prospect with the Yankees. They got from the Indians a few years back in the Andrew Miller deal. He has a little bit of an issue with striking out and walking, and that's why he's not currently in the top 100. And it's a little bit of a homer pick. It's Sully Mateus, is I believe how you say. He's an outfielder in the Kansas City Royals organization. And the reason I was kind of looking after him is because when he's gotten a little pub the last couple of days, and I heard about him at the beginning of the season in training camp and looked around. He currently doesn't have any. He's in 2016 Bowman, but doesn't have any autos in that. He's also in 2017 Elite Extra Edition, and he has two autos there. And one of those guys where you have a young guy with some pop in his bat, does strike out a lot. I mean, he's on the same pace. They compared it to Joey Gallo, and he's having a heck of a season. So the Royals in a rebuilding phase. This kid's 19. Give him another year or two of him pop up. Be interesting to see. If he gets some more autos this next year, or if he's in some other products later this year. But always fun to kind of find a guy on your team and maybe invest. I bought a lot of Kyle Zimmer He's a pitcher. He's still in the minor leagues with the Royals, but I don't think he's ever coming through. Or Buster, Bubba Starling, Kansas kid, got picked 5th overall, turned down Nebraska as a quarterback to go to the Royals and sign. And I think he's now almost 25, and he got drafted at 18 because he was back in 2011, and still hasn't made a debut. And hopefully one day he'll be able to come up and play on the big club and maybe get a little some production out of him. But 5th overall pick looks kind of like a miss right now, and invested in him. So it's hit and miss, and sometimes you have guys that you don't ever think of that you collect, and one day they hit. I mean, I like Aaron Judge. I mean, he was a 1st-round pick, but nobody really talked about him all that much, being an older prospect at a Fresno State, and you find him in a box one day, and all of a sudden his autos are selling for $800. So always fun to do, kind of like gambling. But as we end our show this week and we head out, we do appreciate you joining us tonight on Thursday night instead of Wednesday because of Ben's birthday. Ben, now AARP, they have like an easy website, so you can go on and register.
I don't know if they have a database.
They don't have a database.
I got onto Google Hangouts all by myself tonight. For the record, as soon as it logged on, both of you both said, "Hey, Heather," because every episode thus far, she got me hooked up. Yeah. So in other words, I will take anybody's gifts of A's cards for my birthday. And if anybody wants to help me out with the AARP website, you're more than welcome to.
And I know there's like discounts on cell phones. You can get the big buttons, and they help you out with like scams, and you get those early bird dinners now at a discount. So you can go get a steak dinner at Sizzler for like $4.99.
I was at the California State Fair yesterday for my birthday. That's why we had to delay the podcast for a night. And I got carded. And it said under the age of 40. I'm now 39. So I tell her next year I'm not going to get carded. And I'm still 12 or so or 22 or so years away from a senior discount. So I'm like in this weird area of I'm not young enough anymore to get carded, but I'm definitely not old enough yet to get a 50-cent discount on my Denny's.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks.
So next week, remember, we'll be live on Wednesday. Normally Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time here, West Coast. It's the right coast, the only coast. It's what time you need to be on. So if you live somewhere else, click it to the West Coast and just live on that time and just see how life is. You might be late to work one day, but hey, you live in that West Coast lifestyle. We're always here on YouTube. You can always get us on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe and review our show. Let us know what we're doing. Hey, even review us on Twitter. Come at us. Let us know what we're doing, what we need to do better, what we're doing great. We'd love to hear the feedback, what you want to talk about. We've gotten some really good suggestions and things that we have on the list to do. So it makes me feel good that we had a good idea coming in, and we're going to be getting these out to everybody. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. You can always follow Ben at Our Trading Cards, OUR Trading Cards. You can always follow Stefan at Junk Wax Twins, and follow me at Big Shep 79 and on my site at BigShepCards.com. But next week, guys, we're going to talk national. Now, Ben and I have never been, and at some point in time, I will be there. Steph's been 3 times.
Yep.
So Steph's going to give us a rundown, a segment that our Infield chatter is going to be covering the national things to do, things not to do, what to look for. If you're going to go for a couple of days, the whole time, the most of the week that it's there. It's in Cleveland this year. Last time it was in Cleveland when LeBron came back, and Johnny Manziel. This year, Johnny Manziel's up in the CFL, and LeBron's living the LA life. He came into the West Coast. So yeah, it's gonna be great. And as always, we definitely appreciate all the follows and the listens and the subscribes and all that good stuff. But we're here for you guys. We're here for us. If you like what we do and what we're talking about, outstanding. And we always appreciate you. Ben, any final words tonight?
I think I said enough. Beckett, hey, keep your chin up. You guys have been around for a while. You'll be all right.
Steph, any final phrases?
Yep. He was asking for recommendations and suggestions. If you have any replacements for Ben, just send them our way. But no, have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah, guys.
I love both of you equally.
Yes.
You are the John Stamos to my Bob Saget and Dave Couliers.
As long as I'm Stamos, I'm all right with that.
I'll let you guys decide which of the three we are.
Yeah, I'll be Stamos because he was married to Rebecca Romaine during. Yeah. Okay.
Just on the show, not in real life. There are rumors that they may have dated here or there, but come
on. Anyway, guys, again, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we will see you live next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Have a good one.
Good night, guys.
Good night.